بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا حبيب الله. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء، يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. هذه دارهم تهيج شجوني، كيف حبس الدموع بين الجفون. جودي بالدمع فوق خدي جودي. هذه دار صحبنا يا عيوني رحلوا والفراق صعب ومر، وبما لا أطيقه حملوني وأوصلوني دهرا وما كنت أدري. بعد وصل ورحمة يهجروني ودعوني وأودعوا السهم قلبي. ليتني مت قبل ما أيها اللائمون كفوا ولكن بمصاب ابن فاطم تلك ذكرى بها تهون الرزايا، وهي من أمهات ريب المنون. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وجباب محمد وآل محمد والسجان صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So yesterday we were speaking about some of the literary work of Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. And we said that Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam contributed greatly to the Islamic Ummah by teaching the Muslims their beliefs and what they learned, utilizing different methods and unorthodox methods of doing so. And we said he did that because he was pressured and he was unable to speak out freely. And so Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam had to use other methods to spread the teachings of Islam. So we said the first method he used was dua. By teaching the people how to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would also teach them the beliefs that they have and the beliefs that they should be believing in and why they should believe in what they believe in. And we gave the example of one of the very first du'as Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam writes in his Sahif al-Sajjadiyya, the book, in which he speaks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what God is defined as and some of the characteristics that he holds. And I'm not going to delve into it because it was extremely philosophical. If you guys want to know exactly what the topic was about and what we spoke about, we can refer back to the videos, inshallah, or ask me in the Q&A session that we're going to have, inshallah, and I can try my best to explain. We also said that Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam wrote the treatise of rights, in which he outlines all of the rights that the things in existence have on you. For example, the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on His servants. He also outlines the right of the mother on her children, and the right of the father on his children, the right of the tongue on the individual, the right of the hand of the individual, the right of the people. He even outlines, we said, the rights of Ahlul Dhimma, people that are not even Muslims but living within the Muslims country or nation, within the Islamic Empire. Even their rights, he outlines them. And so Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam outlines these rights, and we gave an example of what he said about the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the people, and how it was such a simple phrase, but was so deep that we will not even begin to understand how deep the actual idea is that is encompassed by simple words. Tonight, my brothers and sisters, we're going to briefly analyze the last point or the last example of Imam al-Sajjad's literary work, or the speeches he gave, the words that he tried to spread around in the ummah, and that is the sermon that he gave in Sham in front of Yazid la'natullahi alayh, in which you find that Imam alayhi salam utilizes some of the different tools that Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam utilized in her sermons to enable him to touch the people and to wake them up from the deep sleep that they were in. For us to actually analyze this sermon, we have to know what was going on with the people. Because anytime a person comes and speaks to the people, for example, I'm here discussing these topics with you, you can call me a lecturer. If I want to lecture someone, I want to know who my audience is, so I can pick the topics, so I can know what to say, what not to say, and how to say it, so I can know if the topics that I'm going to be speaking about are of high academic content or something simple. So we have to know who the people were that Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam was speaking to. And you actually get an understanding of the people when you actually see the khutbah, the sermon of Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam that he gives in Kufa, and you compare the two. And you see that the two audiences are totally different just from the words that the Imam alayhi salam is using and how he's speaking. So first let's analyze what he says to the people of Kufa, then compare it to what he says to the people of Sham. But before that, let's look at the people of Kufa. What was the background of the people of Kufa when it came to their relationship with Muhammad wa ali Muhammad? For their love, sallallahu alaihi Muhammad. Again, let's get to know the audiences and we'll get to know why the Imam alayhi salam was speaking as such. When you come to see the people of Kufa, the people of Kufa lived under the reigns of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam for about 5 years. For those who don't know, Imam Ali eventually became the Khalifa after about 25 years of being suppressed. He became the Khalifa of the Muslims. Both Shias and Sunnis believe that Imam Ali alayhi salam was at one point the Khalifa of the Muslims. And Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam made Al-Kufa his capital. So the people of Kufa were familiar with Amir al-Mu'mineen, his values, his morals, his ethics, the characteristics of Ali bin Abi Talib. Because when Amir al-Mu'mineen first came into Kufa, he put his foot down. Not like those who came before him. He put his foot down. and he made himself known in what he was going to make of this ummah and how he was going to run the nation of Islam. So listen to what he said. It is said Amir al-Mu'mineen comes through the gates of Kufa, the big gate, while everyone is watching. And one of the first things he says to the people of Kufa, listen to what he says. He says, "O people, see this jacket that's on my back? If you ever see me wearing a jacket other than this jacket, then know that I've stolen from your money." He made it very clear. Now don't come up to me and ask me, "Hey, give me a raise or give me some more money. I'm your friend, I'm your brother, I'm your cousin." None of that. Those who came before you took your money. If you see me with a jacket other than this jacket, then know that I've stolen from the money that you put in Bayt al-Mal. Similarly, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam once was sitting in his office. Two men by the name of Talha and Zubayr come into his office, and they want to ask Amir al-Mu'mineen to give them some sort of governing positions in his government. Some sort of high position. To govern مثلا a city, a town. To be the ruler in some of the parts that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam had power over. So Talha and Zubayr come in. It is said they sit in front of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to them, "Do you have an issue that concerns the Muslims? Or do you have a personal issue that you want to talk to me about?" Without even asking them anything before that, before they even say anything. They say, "No, we have a personal issue." So Amir al-Mu'mineen looks at the candle that he has lit on his desk or behind him, turns out that candle, turns to another one and lights it up. They're confused. Why is Ali doing such a thing? So they ask him, "Ya Ali, what did you just do?" He said, "This candle is bought from the money of the Muslims. This candle is bought from the money of the Muslims. You are coming to me on a personal issue. And so I'm not going to use the wax, that little amount of wax, from the money of the Muslims for your personal issues. This candle is bought with my money." How much does wax cost? 3 cents? 4 cents? Amir al-Mu'mineen made it clear. And so you know what those two did? They stood up and left. And they said to them, "Ali's not going to give us anything. This is Ali bin Abi Talib." So you know what they actually did? It is said they left Kufa and they started Harb al-Jamal. Harb al-Jamal, the civil war that Amir al-Mu'mineen fought, began with Aisha, Talha and Zubayr. Those two, Talha and Zubayr, were the ones that started Harb al-Jamal, in which 18,000 Muslims were killed. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was willing to start a war for just this concept called justice. And so the people knew, and also there was other reasons why Harb al-Jamal started, but they took ranks with Aisha because of this, because they knew Ali bin Abi Talib was not going to play games like the rest of them that came before him. And so they left. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam took a stance. In those 5 years, he fought 3 civil wars, standing up for justice. So the people of Kufa knew who Ali bin Abi Talib was. They had a real understanding of who this man was. They knew his virtue. They knew his value. They knew his justice. And they knew that Ali bin Abi Talib was the true Khalifa of Rasulullah, because they compared him with the rest of those who came before him and sat in his place. And they compared what he did and what they did. When you go and see the people of Damascus, you see something so totally different. You see the people of Damascus used to think Ali bin Abi Talib was a clown. A literal clown. Literally a clown. They used to think Ali bin Abi Talib, when you say the word Ali bin Abi Talib, they used to think he was a man that had, as they say, mahzala fihi. Kana fihi mahzala. That he was not a serious man. He did not take anything seriously. He was always joking. He was not sound in his thinking. When Ali bin Abi Talib was killed in Kufa and the message went to the people of Damascus, you know what they said? Ali used to pray. Because they heard that he was killed in Salat. So they said, Ali used to pray. Not knowing that Ali bin Abi Talib is Salat itself. What happened? They were brainwashed. Why were they brainwashed? Because the governor and the ruler of the people of Damascus was who? Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. And Amir al-Mu'mineen fights Muawiyah and Harb al-Siffin. Harb Siffin. We said he fought 3 civil wars. One of them was Harb Siffin with Muawiyah, the 2nd civil war. And so Muawiyah brainwashed the people of Damascus, changing the image of Amir al-Mu'mineen and those who were to come after him. So the people of Damascus did not know anything about Ali bin Abi Talib. Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein had no knowledge of who they were. Rather, they used to see Ali bin Abi Talib as someone low, someone of no value whatsoever. That's why when you see the riwayat say, when the Sabaya entered Sham, there were decorations in Sham. You understand why?
Ya Allah, Ya Allah.
You understand why there was decorations in Sham? Because they didn't know who these people were. They were told they were Khawarij. Who were Khawarij? Khawarij were people that would fight the Islamic ruler. Khawarij fought Amir al-Mu'mineen. They were told that these women were Khawarij. They were the wives and the sisters of people that were killed by Yazid, and those people were Khawarij. And so they automatically ruled them out. They didn't know who they were. Like, understanding these two ideas, you come and see how Imam Zayn al-Abidin addresses the people. And then you come to analyze what he says. Listen to what he says. When he addresses the people of Kufa, watch what he says. He says, أيها الناس من عرفني فقد عرفني. He starts with this. And keep this in mind. Everything that we say, please keep it in mind. أيها الناس من عرفني فقد عرفني ومن لم يعرفني فأنا علي بن الحسين بن علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليهم. He says, "O people, who knows me, whoever of you knows me, knows me. If you don't know me, let me tell you who I am. I am Ali, son of Hussein, son of Ali, son of Abi Talib." Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What does he do? He tells him his name directly. Okay? He tells them the name. Then, what does he say? He says, أنا ابن المذبوح بشط الفرات. I am the one who was killed on the shore of the Euphrates River. Keep this in mind, what he goes directly into, the topic that he goes into. أنا ابن المذبوح بشط الفرات. I'm the one that was killed. I'm the son of the one that was killed on the shore of the Euphrates River. I am the one whose women were taken as captives. Or I am son of the one whose women were taken as captives. I am son of the one whose money was looted. I am son of the one. And then he keeps telling them of what happened in Karbala. And after that, he tells them, you are the hypocrites. You are the one who called us. You're the ones who called us. And when we came, you turned against us. You are the ones who betrayed us. You are the ones, you are the ones. And he keeps on going and showing them of their faults and what they did and who they truly are. Until the riwayah says, ضَجُّوا بِالْبُكَاءِ. They were screaming and wailing and crying, the men and the women. ضَجُّوا بِالْبُكَاءِ. So they knew what was happening. They understood what was going on. And the Imam alayhi salam, the first thing he tells them is, I am Ali, son of Hussein, son of Ali. That's the first thing he tells them. And then he tells them of their faults. And tells them what they need to fix. Take this idea, but then compare it to what Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam says to the people of Sham. Now we're going to come and analyze. Again, this is a very brief analysis to keep time for the question and answer session afterwards. But listen to the way that Imam alayhi salam speaks here. And keep in mind, what did he do? He began with his name. He told them of what happened to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And then started to tell them, you betrayed us. You did this, you did this, you did that. In hopes of them reforming themselves. Now come and compare. Listen to what happens in Majlis Yazid. It is said the Sabaya come to Majlis Yazid, the court of Yazid. And Yazid obviously sitting on his throne, the wine, whatever you want. Few things happen, you'll hear it inshallah in the Arba'een, until a man stands up on the pulpit, or stands up and asks Yazid to go up on the pulpit and swear at Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Yazid says yes. He goes up on the pulpit and he begins swearing and speaking ill of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Imam Zayn al-Abidin stands up and he says, you bought the happiness and the agreement of al-Makhluq, the created, with the agreement and the happiness of the Creator. In other words, he's saying, you put God aside and looked for what Yazid wanted. You put what God wanted in His anger and His obedience aside and threw it in the trash, and went and looked for the obedience of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Everyone was astonished, because Imam Zayn al-Abidin was still tied up. Or at least he was in a position, not in a position to speak at all. Everyone in the court was astonished. Who is this man that said these words and stood up to the so-called ruler of his time, Khalifa of his time? And so Yazid ibn Muawiyah starts to feel threatened, because he just spoke and everyone listened. And he says to him, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he says, Yazid, give me permission to go up on this pulpit and speak. Let me speak. Yazid doesn't want to. You know why? He says, these are people who from a young age were given knowledge, were fed knowledge, and if he speaks, it will be my demise. The people, they pressure Yazid. They tell him, no, let him speak. He's a young man. He's this, he's that. We want to hear what he has to say. And so he gives in to their pressure. Remember what we spoke about yesterday, the day before? That they were still pressured by the people and gave in. Right. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam goes up on the pulpit and he begins speaking to the people of Sham. So listen what he says. He says, أيها الناس. Listen how he begins. أيها الناس أعطينا ستا وفضلنا بسبع. We have been given 6 merits and were made above everyone else with 7 things. Does he start with his name? He doesn't start with his name. Why? Because they don't know who he is. He can say, I am Ali, son of Hussein, son of Ali. Ali bin Abi Talib to them was borderline kafir. To start with your name in front of people who think your father is a kafir makes no sense. Why? Because they've dismissed you from the very beginning. You have no integrity in their eyes. So the Imam alayhi salam is now beginning his speech by establishing integrity in their eyes. He already has the integrity. He has all the right to speak, but in their eyes he has no integrity. So he begins by establishing his integrity. And by establishing his integrity within the words, he's telling them that you were brainwashed into thinking we are like this, but here's the reality of who we are. And he begins. We have been given 6 and been made over the people and given levels and statuses over the people through 7 things. He says, أعطينا العلم, we've been given knowledge, والحلم, والسماحة, forgiveness, والفصاحة, eloquence, والشجاعة, courage, والمحبة في قلوب المؤمنين, and love in the hearts of the believers. Those who are true believers love us innately. Side note. Why? Because the riwayah says the Shia have been created min fadli tinatina, have been created from the residue of our clay. When Ahl al-Bayt was created from the clay, the residue of that clay, and it said the Shias are created from that clay. That's for another night, inshallah. طيب. وَالْمَحَبَّةِ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. We've been given this. Now they're starting to catch on. This person is special. Why? Because there's an innate love for these people that he's speaking about, that he supposedly comes from, in the hearts of the believers.